Hi, everyone. This is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman. And today we are talking about your intuition. And I think this is kind of an amazing topic because so many of us have an amazing intuition, but sometimes we are not really listening to it. So I think that's kind of one of those like interesting parts, like how often should we listen to it? When should we listen to it? How should we listen to it? All of those things we're going to be talking about. I know everybody's going to be like clicking on this is going to be a great night talking about our intuition because one of the things that's really interesting about our intuition is it's really a great way to understand what's going on around us, kind of give us that deeper insight. Now, I know, y'all know, I love my angel cards, but you can't really do your angel cards when you're at the grocery store. You really can't do your angel cards when you're out in public necessarily. I guess you could try, but it's one of those. But that's kind of the interesting part is your intuition is always with you. Your intuition is always there. Your intuition is always part of what you're trying to do or what you're trying to come up with. That's kind of the interesting part about it. But I think a lot of times, like people really don't listen to their hi, Miss Panther. How are you doing? Like listen to their intuition nearly as much as they possibly could or should. I think that's really kind of the interesting one is listening to your intuition is so important and learning how to kind of listen to that voice because it's not necessarily a lot of times like people think it's your inner voice or whatever, but it's really not. That's kind of the best way to put it. It's really not your inner voice. It's not you. It's something, it's kind of your abilities kind of thing. So let's start with our promo going off and then we'll start talking about this. And I've got a great tons of information for you. So hold on just a second. Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm having an issue with my sound. So if y'all can hear me, let me know. I am so excited to be with you guys. We are talking about your intuition. And a lot of times, like people will tell me, like they had a gut feeling about something, or they had a gut feeling about something, or a person, or a place. And I think that's kind of one of the kind of the crazy things for us. I know when I was a kid, I really, thank you, Panther. Like, thank you. So I think when I was a kid, I really listened to my intuition because of the what I grew up in. It's one of those like it was kind of like almost like a special friend. Like I trusted my intuition. I heard it. I listened all the time. That's the thing I really did. And then I think when like kind of late teenager, kind of like early 20s, I may not have been listening to my intuition near as much as I could have or should have. And so kind of that's kind of the funny part because people will go through periods of time where they really listen to their intuition and then other times where they're really kind of more ignoring their intuition. And I will tell you kind of one of the things that's really a lot of people think that your intuition is that, like I said, your voice inside your head, but it's really not. And one of the things that I've noticed when people really kind of think their intuition is their inner voice, kind of making that is usually because they're watching like tons of like news. They're kind of like in the culture of what we're going through. A lot of times, like you'll have like just watching the news, like their job is to make you afraid of everything. That's just the way it is. And but it's one of those like the more you listen to that, the more you hear this story or that story or the whatever else, you kind of whenever you're fearful, you're not able to listen to your intuition as easily. And so that's kind of one of the funny whispers of society is the more times that you are like listening to your own inner guidance, it's helping you out. But when you start kind of getting afraid, or I'm not really sure about this or anything else, a lot of times it's harder to get into that almost like meditative or calm state to be able to get there. So that's kind of the interesting part about it. So it's kind of like you really have to kind of slow things down. And so I think one of the things, the differences between like your intuition and your inner voice, both will give you insight into things that are going on around you. But I guarantee you they have a different energy with them. So kind of your inner voice, if y'all are in, stop by and say hi. It's one of those, if y'all are checking in with me, I think that's great. Hello, Miss Anna. So cute. Kind of your inner voice is kind of like you talking in your head. And a lot of times that's how we kind of think through problems. Like, this report is due kind of for this, or that sort of thing. Kind of that intuition, kind of like I feel, or that inner voice of like, this is what I want to bring forward. This is how I want it to come out, or this is what you're kind of like working through problems or kind of things in your head. Intuition is communication with your own soul, like your soul deep down in you that's been with you for several lifetimes. So you're kind of just not asking like one person's insight, which is kind of what you do when you ask with your inner voice. But when you're listening with your communication, kind of like your intuition, it's a communication with your soul. And we each have our own way of like communicating with our intuition. Sometimes it can be depending on what abilities you have. I will tell you, if you are more clairaudient, you are more likely to hear your intuitive guidance kind of in a gentle voice in your head. It's not going to be you. It's going to be something else, that soul energy. If you are more clairvoyant, you are going to be seeing images in your mind. You may also be like have things. A lot of times I will say this is the one that like when I'm picking out angel cards, like one of the cards will get like a glow around it, or it'll show different from the others. And that's when I know that's the one I need to pull out. So it's kind of like that's that clairvoyant side. Now, sometimes like our intuitive side just kind of gives us the knowledge and kind of like downloads. And a lot of times I will tell you that's more like a clairvoyant or a claircognizant issue, because it's more like I'm just downloading the information. I'm just getting the information. I am not really knowing where the information came from. It's just downloading kind of thing. It's like, boom, here we go. And then a lot of times, if you are more clairsensitive, you are going to have kind of like a physical reaction to something, like all of a sudden, like, oh my gosh, I just froze. If you're very emotional, you will have kind of like just, I felt overwhelmed. All of a sudden, I just felt like panicked or whatever it is. And that's your intuition kind of using your clairsensitive gift to kind of bring in some different energy. So, kind of that energy of what's going on, of kind of like, how do I do this? How do I work through, and how do I get this information forward? I will tell you, most people don't listen to their intuition near enough. But when you get those signs, depending on what gift is yours, when you start getting that sign, it's really important to really start listening to that intuition, especially if you're asking for your intuition. If you are truly asking, like, I really want to hear this. I really need to know what's coming up next, or what do I need to say in the meeting, or how do I get this attention, or how do I do this? That's really the important part about this, is kind of like really getting that intuitive side going. The more you listen, the more it will come through, the more clear it will get. That's kind of the cool part about it. And that's kind of the fun part too. It's one of those, the idea of where you're going to go with this information, or how you're going to get this information, is really important. I will say there's probably nothing more important or powerful than someone who's listening to their own intuition. No matter what message you get or how it comes through, understanding that it's meant for you to be in action. I think that's kind of the best part, is like when you start trusting your intuition, it really does allow you to decipher within you what's going on, decipher within you what you should be doing, or how you should reacting to different things. And I think that's kind of the interesting part. People that usually do well, or just kind of like they're that lucky person that just shows up or whatever it is, they're the ones that are usually listening to their intuition, because it's like their intuition is telling you, like, yeah, go ahead and let this person cut in front of you. And because they did, they got the winning ticket. Because that happened, this happened. And so it's kind of one of those great, amazing energies of it. The other part of this is kind of like anticipating, like a lot of times to really listen to it, you have to open up your energy. You have to take a moment of time. Usually, sometimes it's a breath or two. That's why when you have a lot of fear in you, it really slows things down, and it really slows your ability to get the information that you're really asking for. So that's kind of one of the special things to do, is to really listen to that inner voice, that inner intuition, and really opening up to all of it at the same time. Now, one of the ways that I normally really teach my students to really start doing is through body testing. And sometimes that's kind of the best way to start listening to it. The more you listen to your own intuition, the more you start opening up to that energy, the more you're going to get information. The more information that's going to come through, the stronger that gift and ability starts coming through for you. I have a video for y'all to watch. It's one that I did earlier this week for you guys, so y'all to kind of understand like how to do body testing, because I think that's one of those, hey, Miss Kathy, one of those special ones is like learning how to body test is so important. It's about, I want to say like 7 minutes long, but I'm going to show it to you, and then we're going to talk about that on the other side. So if you have any questions about the video or what we've talked about, post them, and I will pick them up on the other side of this. Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're going to be talking about how to body test and what should you be body testing for. So body testing is really a way for you to kind of get answers from inside you. And kind of the best way to put it is, a lot of times when we ask ourselves, like, should I buy this or should I do this? A lot of times we're thinking with our head, you know what I'm saying, like mentally, like, oh, it'd be great to have this, or it'd be nice to have that, or whatever it is. But we're not really thinking about like the long-term energy stuff with it. So one of the things that I love to do is literally class one, first thing, I teach all of my students, and sometimes I even teach it at some of my group readings. I teach everybody how to body test, because it's a great way to get your own intuitive answers for yourself. And so that's kind of the best part about learning how to body test. So body testing is that important. I know it's like, really? Yes, it's that important. So a couple of things to kind of keep in mind is when you're body testing is you want to stand feet hip width apart. And I often tease my students of like, you don't want to stand like a cowboy, like legs wide, wide, wide out. And you don't want to stand like a lady, because then you're kind of like a pendulum. But if you stand at a great hip width apart at your feet, you're going to be in this really stable energy. So one of the things I'm going to do is this stone is just going to be my demonstration one. So what you also want to do is right at the bottom of your chest is where your heart chakra is. And you can poke around in that area and find it. And it really does, like when you hit it, you're like, oh, it really hurts. But what you would do is place the stone in that area, kind of right over where your heart chakra would be. And what you want to do is breathe from your nose to your belly button and all the way back out before you do anything. And this is kind of getting us in that really amazing, like just calm energy. So it's kind of the, then you want to ask one simple question, like, is this the stone I should take home? And just relax. If you don't move around, the best thing to do is just take another breath and ask the question again. Should I take this stone home? And you'll see right there, I can feel it kind of like pulling me forward. So I'm going to do it from an angle so you can kind of see what it looks like. So if I just do this, same thing. Should I take this stone home? That's the motion I'm looking for. It is not a somersault forward. It is not a, oh my gosh, I'm about to run over myself going forward. It's not that. It is a very simple, easy push forward. Now I'm going to grab a different stone and I'm going to place it right where the other one was, feet hip width apart. Breathe from my nose to my belly button. Should I put this stone outside? And I get a back motion. So I'm going to show you from the side. Breathing. Should I put this stone outside? That's the motion. That's all it is not a huge back clip or anything else. So that's kind of the easy ways to learn how to body test. And I will tell you, what you're really doing is getting in touch with your intuition inside of you. What is your soul want you to do? And this is something that like I said, I teach my students all the time. This is like number one, even my advanced students. If I ask them to body test something, they're like up and in that energy and they're doing it. Kind of the hard part or the quirky part about it is you can only ask one question at a time. So you kind of get like a little frustration there. So it's like, I want to ask more questions. I want to ask this. And a lot of times, like, people will get like partial answers or something like that, and they don't really get a full answer. If you're in body testing mode and you start moving left to right, or you kind of start doing circles, it means that you're asking a question that's unclear. They're kind of telling you like, nah, that's not working for me. What you've got to do is ask one clear question. And a lot of times that breath should be helping you kind of clear out your mind of kind of like what's going on or what else is going on. Like, I need to take this at work. I need to do this. I need to go here. I need to pick this up. All that kind of stuff. That can just be overwhelming. So when you take that breath, kind of clear your mind for just literally like half a second of just like, and then ask your clear question. The easier this comes to some people than others, but I guarantee you it takes time to do this. It's one of those, like, it takes time to learn how to do this. And I often tell my students, usually between like the first time you do it till about the 20th time you do it, you're going to have to hold the item literally right at your heart chakra. It's not going to go anywhere else. After that, you may be able to hold it like just close to you and be able to do it that way. And until about like 20 to 40 times, like, you know what I'm saying, another 20 times that you've done it. And then after that, you can hold it a little bit further away, a little bit further away. And then my advanced students can literally, like I can, just like literally put your hand over an item, like, should I get this book or should I pick this up or whatever it is. So that makes it so much easier when you learn how to body test. When you are learning how to body test, it's really important to take your time, clear your mind, take a deep breath, and ask one clear question at a time. That is the best way to learn how to body test and get in touch with your own inner intuition and what your angels and guides want you to know about it. What does your soul want you to know about that item? That's what they're telling you. Like, yes, it's a good thing for you, or no, it shouldn't be. And a lot of times, I'm not wearing a necklace today because I was body testing, but usually I will body test my necklace that I put on for the day. I will body test that and ask, is this the necklace I require today? It's a couple of things that I love doing every day. And body testing is something that my students, most of the people that have been around me will body test several times a day, depending on what's going on with them. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon. Okay, everyone, I hope that y'all like stuck with me through all of that. It's one of those, I think that's kind of the fun part. So Jen is asking, I've done this where some answers are more obvious. I will tell you, this is something that I teach in my Psychic 101 class. Like literally, class one, lesson one is how to body test because it's that important. And the more you start trusting your own intuition, the more you start trusting your own abilities, the more you start trusting what you're getting from the other side. And really, it's your soul communicating with your angels and guides and getting you that answer. And that can be the amazing part of this. That can be the like, yes. A lot of times, one of the things that you can do to help amp up your own inner intuition kind of thing is, I will tell you, is to meditate. Meditation can really help you kind of bring through more messages from your intuition. And kind of really spending some time in silence and kind of just like hearing what messages are coming through. That can be a really like, yes, this is where you got to get this information. I like using muscle testing. I've done muscle testing. This I have found so much easier I know there's different ways to muscle test and there's different ways to body test. I like this one because a lot of times when I first learned how to do muscle testing, they were like showing me like how to do it with somebody else. Like I required someone else and I was like, okay, that sounds great, but I don't always have someone with me. So this was the one that was really cool of I can do this by myself, get the answers by myself, and that makes it so much easier. Kind of the next thing to do is start noticing what senses are coming through. Like, where is your kind of like inner guidance coming from? Where is that intuition coming from? Is it clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsensitive, claircognizant? Like, what information is coming through? That can be like a really good hint of like not only what is your strongest ability, but it can also raise your sensitivity. Like when you're noticing, like I should be, sensing things by now, or I should be getting this information. That can be a really good one. Another one, your intuition can talk to you through your dreams. Literally, our intuitive mind will kind of like override our dreams at times because it's been like so desperately trying to get a message to us. Like, we want to tell you this, or we want to tell you that, we want to give you this information. So that is one of those like amazing ones of like, yes, this is the information that you really have to have. This is the information that you really need to know. And that's kind of one of those special ones. I think that's kind of like, yes, here we go. Sometimes if you are kind of someone like creative writing is another way you can do it. And so a lot of people that do like creative writing or automatic writing will start like jotting down like our circles or W's or whatever it is. And when they start doing that, a lot of times what happens is that creative flow will kind of turn into words and information. So the more it happens, the more it comes through. And that's just kind of like interesting kind of energy. And I will tell you kind of the next one is kind of like you can always do your angel cards. Like I said, I love doing my angel cards. I really, really do. But I will tell you, I can't do those all the time. I wouldn't want to go grocery shopping and kind of like, what do I need to know? Or what is coming out? Or if I'm at a friend's house, like pulling those out. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. It's one of those. So that's kind of where that intuition can give me that greater insight into what's going on around me and what are the information coming through. One of the things too is kind of like testing kind of like your hunches, kind of like what is it that is kind of giving you that insight, kind of what's giving you that message of kind of like, are you sensing that this is going to happen? Are you sensing that this is going to come through, what this is going to happen? That can give you a great insight about your intuition. And a lot of times we get it, and that's usually kind of more of a claircognizant one, because we'll just get the information like, now it's time to go do this. And you're like, okay, let's go do this. And the more you listen to it, the easier it will be. A lot of times, my next one is kind of like spending some time or kind of really doing a lot of that's what Panther's saying was like, I love or light work or oracle cards. I love, now this is the deck that I've had for years and years and years and years. I love this deck. And it's one of those, it can get you great information from the other side. It can give you a great insight to the other side. But sometimes it, like I said, it's not always convenient. So it's kind of like, okay, how do we deal with this? A lot of times when we're doing this, the best way to kind of really open up to your intuition is really to kind of like think about feeling or opening up to your psychic abilities more and really thinking less. Because a lot of times we kind of like think, oh, it's just me, I'm just being this way, or, it's not really this. And a lot of times it's our intuition giving us the information, but we're not trusting it. Therefore, usually it starts to slow down or starts not being as clear as it once was. When you trust it and you're really listening to it, that's when you're going to get amazing insights, amazing information. I had a client not too long ago when I think a couple of $1,000, like $5,000 or $6,000 on a lottery. And it was like, he just goes, was at the stop and go and literally just had this insight of like, okay, I need to buy a lottery ticket. And he goes, I never buy a lottery ticket. And bought a lottery ticket and literally one scratch off and won like, I want to say like $5,000 or $6,000. I can't even remember exactly the number. So that's just one of those amazing informations is like the more you listen to your intuition, the more it's going to come through. So let's get a little bit more information about our intuition from our angel cards, because that's one of our best ways to do that. Kind of surrender and release is the first card I pull forward. And I will tell you, it's because a lot of times people kind of like, I need to do this. Hi, Miss Nat. I need to do this, or how do I do this? And so I think that's really kind of one of those positive ones of kind of like, how do I do this? Or I feel weird. Let that part go. Surrender and release that part of like, this doesn't feel comfortable, because the more you do it, the better it's going to come through. The more you do it, the more information is going to be coming through. Friendship is the next one. A lot of times we normally kind of pick on our friends more than anything else. We kind of expect them to kind of like, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? In my family, we kind of body test everything. We have body test glasses, frames, shirts, clothing, shoes, socks, everything, pajamas. I mean, I'm not joking. We kind of body test everything and kind of like, is this what I really have to know? Or is this really the one I need to get? Because that's great information to find out. Like, it's great when you first buy something, you're like, oh, I love it. And then you try it on at home and you're like, not so much. I don't like it so much, that kind of thing. This one is new beginnings. You can start a new beginning of listening to your instincts, your intuition, and kind of really opening up to it. Can be that very special connection that you have with your soul, your very special connection with other people, and bring in amazing information. Panther saying, I listen to my gut instincts, and that's the best part, is kind of like listening to it. Listening to it is the best part. Listening to it kind of, and then be in action. A lot of times it's one of those, that's the special part, is like listen to it and then be in action about it. And sometimes I'll ask, like, should I leave this area or should I stay here? Because a lot of times, like, I'll get information like, this is not safe or secure here. And then I'm like, okay, should I stay or move, or should I get out of here? So then I'll start body testing those questions and get that information. That can be amazing. Enchantment. Like I said, a lot of times people grow out of listening to their intuition or kind of that gut feeling. They stop listening altogether. And that's the really hard part. You got to listen to it, and you've got to stay informed on that part. Like, what are they telling me to do? Or how do I do this? That's kind of the fun part. Freedom. We always have freedom. We don't have to body test. You can go through life with never body testing or kind of like listening to your intuition. That is one of those interesting ones, because a lot of times, like, people, well, your angels and guides are telling you what to do. No, they're kind of more guiding you. You're asking, like, should I do this? Like, I'm thinking I want to do this. What do you think? And that's going to give you a great answer, a great insight into what's going on around you and kind of what's going on with other people. Like, what do I need to know, or what do I require knowing about this person or that person or this kind of thing? So that can be a really great one. Retreat is sometimes, like when I have my clients that like work corporate jobs, corporate America kind of thing, I will tell them, like, if you got to get out of the situation, like take a retreat for a minute, leave the room, even maybe even go to the bathroom or go back in your office or whatever it is, and start body testing and getting the information. Like, what do I require knowing at this moment in time? Like, what do I require knowing? What is the information that's coming through? Because if not, a lot of times, like, you are not getting that information. You're not getting your insight that you're really desiring at the time. And that can be kind of sometimes lead you to say the wrong thing or not listen correctly or kind of get out of sync with everybody else. The last card I'm pulling for us is intention. When you intend to listen to your inner intuition, kind of listening to that guidance, you are going to open up to way more information. Be just kind of like that intention is like, I'm ready and willing to hear from the other side, and I'm ready to get that information. That can be super powerful, not only for you, but for so many other people as well. Listening to that intuition can really change your trajectory in your life. Okay, guys, I thank y'all so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon. Y'all have a great night.